guys! That would have been weird, very delayed reaction, because I need to make sure that it starts first and that it doesn't cut halfway through my sentence. Although it probably wouldn't, but yeah. Anyways. So nice to see everybody on here again. So many of the usual faces. If you are new... Oopsie. Pause. If you are new to the live streams, feel free to say hello. Everybody in the chat's very friendly. Okay, so today's live stream is going to be about the Colored Pencil Magazine December Challenge, which is called Colors of Christmas, I think is what they called it. And this is the royalty-free image that they have put in the magazine and put out there for everybody to try. Now, yes, so the magazine's already been launched the beginning of the month, so I'm pretty sure this is in the December issue, but it's only due on the 11th or the 10th. Is it the 10th? So if you guys want to enter this competition, the link is in the description below, where Colored Pencil Magazine has listed all the rules and everything to enter the competition or the challenge. And you can download the image there, and the deadline is the 10th of January 2018, so just make sure to check that out. Okay. Okay, so at the top of the screen you can see a link there as well. That link is the same link that's in the description, which will take you to the page for the download of the image and the rules to enter the competition. So the reason I'm doing this, I'm not doing this because Colored Pencil Magazine has asked me to. They have not. I am doing this because they are my favorite magazine out there, and I love using colored pencils, and I mainly use colored pencils to teach. So that's what my channel is all about. So I thought it'd be great to use this as a live stream drawing every month, because then you guys get something else out of it. So if you attempt to do this drawing, then you will be able to enter it into the competition and stand a chance of winning some art supplies or a voucher to get some art supplies. So you really have nothing to lose if you're going to try any of these things. Oh, and also, I am not going to enter my drawing. I am just doing the live stream video and showing you guys my attempt at the drawing, but I am not entering my drawing. So you guys go ahead and enter it. I just want to do this for the sake of having a cool live stream, and you guys can get something out of it, maybe if you wanted to. Okay, so today the materials that I'm using I've also listed in the description below. The materials are the Mi-Tientes Touch paper, the Canson paper, so it is a bit of a sanded surface, and this color I think is the sky gray color. And let me just remove that big image out the way. There we go, now you can see it. So the color looks a bit cold and boring, but once we start adding the colored pencils on there, it's obviously going to look much better. But it's the Mi-Tientes Canson Touch paper, which is a sanded surface. So it's got a bit of texture and the sky gray. And I'm going to be using my usuals, my Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils and my Prismcolor Premier pencils. And I'm also going to use Zest-it solvent or Zest-it pencil blend to blend the colors in. And that is all I will be using. I'm not going to use any pan pastels or anything today. I'm just going to use the pencils and the pencil blend liquid, and I'm pretty sure that is it. Oh, okay. And for those guys who are wondering how to pick colors, so I do have color swatches here for my Faber-Castell pencils and my Prismacolor pencils, which are here somewhere. I'm not going to use these, but you are welcome to download them. I put the link to the free download for these swatches in the description as well. If you guys wanted to create swatches like this, and then when you compare it to your reference, you can just be like, oh, what green am I looking for? And then you compare the green to your reference, and you can be like, oh yeah, I want that green. And the more you use it, the more you'll find that you don't need it, because you'll get familiar with your pencils very quickly, and you'll know what to pick pretty quickly. Okay, so before I get started, let me just see if anyone has questions. So if you have any questions, please put them in capital letters in the chat so that I can see them nice and clearly. And then if you guys talk among yourselves, then at least I won't be sitting staring at the screen all the time. I'll see your questions pretty easily. Robert says, looks like a school clock behind you. Looks cool. Oh yeah, this clock looks massive. So the size of this image is tiny. So it's like the size of a card. So it is there 5.4 inches by 3.9 inches. 3.8 inches, which in centimeters, which is my language, 13.3 centimeters by 8.9 centimeters. So I'm doing it small so that this live stream doesn't take forever. But you guys can obviously decide how big you want to do this. And I think this is going to be nice because I will probably use it as a Christmas card for someone at the end of the year. Hey, Esme! Clarice says, I'm so glad you're doing this because I have no idea how I'm going to draw this. Okay, so it is a little bit different. If you guys are using the same paper, then that's fine. But if you guys are using watercolor paper, you will probably require a few more layers than what I would be demonstrating on this paper. The beauty about this paper is because you apply the pencils down onto the paper and it's got a sanded surface, it tends to pick up on the pigment a lot more. And it's, I don't know, it's almost like it sticks to it. The sanded surface allows it to stick much better. Whereas if you're using the watercolor paper, you're going to have to apply a few more layers. So just keep in mind when you are using different papers, there might be a different approach that you may have to take for it. Okay, let's start. I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do the background areas. So like those gray, whitish areas, just to sort of get that established, and then I'll probably start focusing on one ball at a time. Okay, so there's a grayish tone on the bottom left here and white. And the nice thing about using colored paper as well is that you it's very nice when you apply the whites because the whites come out very strongly. So I have my Polychromos white and I have a 10% cool gray Prismcolor pencil. And I probably need something a little bit darker than that. It seems to be more of a warm tone. So I will go with a 70% warm gray for the bottom section of this left ornament. What do you call these? I don't want to call them Christmas balls. They are ornaments, aren't they? Tree ornaments. Christmas tree ornaments, I think. Camera check. Thank you, Esme. Oh dear. Okay, so let's get the camera going. Okay, and we're gonna start. So let's put a light layer of the warm grey down first. I'm just gonna sharpen that real quickly. I've fixed my sharpener, my school smart sharpener. Great. It had a very stubborn piece of pencil core that broke inside, but at least nothing serious. My sharpener exists still. So I'm just gonna lightly, I very rarely use any pressure or any hard pressure that you will consider burnishing. I never burnish. That's why I prefer to use the pencil blend solvent liquid so that I don't have to use force because my wrists are extremely weak. So I don't like ending up with sore wrists at the end of the day because I've been pressing so hard using the colored pencils. So that's also something worth noting. You don't have to press hard ever. You, when you apply a liquid solvent over the top of colored pencils, it is going to bring those colors straight out. cool. Robert picked up some cheap metallic colored pencils. They look pretty cool. Actually, you know what? I haven't even thought this through. I have no idea how I'm going to get that amazing gold. I don't know how I'm going to get that gold. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Okay. So 10% cool gray. So going over what I just put down. Just bringing it down a little bit lower. So don't worry about the texture of the paper, like I said. Those will all disappear shortly. And then a little bit on the left here. Using the white Polychromos pencil. So the beauty about sanded paper as well, and a colored sanded paper, is that your white oil-based pencils will come out more opaque. Whereas if you're using the white on watercolor paper, it's not opaque enough, and the oil-based pencil, it just does not show up. So that's why you'd rather use a wax-based white pencil, so that the opacity is much more prevalent. It's not as transparent, whereas the oil-based pencils can almost give it a transparent feel, if that makes sense. Yeah, for Robert says white highlights for the gold, you can trick the eye. Well, yes, I will be doing exactly that, but the yellow color, that very bright yellow color, that gold color, might have to be like a mustardy yellow, maybe. What's this one? Maybe I'll use the yellow ochre as our gold, and then hopefully the white will, yeah. This like, image is actually not that simple. I thought, oh, this is gonna be easy. It's like my layering tutorial where I drew all the round circles and made them look three-dimensional, but it's not. There's so many reflections going on here that there's a lot to pay attention to. Okay. Now let's add some more white over here as well. Here. Oh, I forgot to mention, I did transfer the image onto this paper, specifically because myself in freehanding something that's really round is just impossible. And because they're not 100% round, because of like the angle and the way they're positioned, and I don't have one of those like rulers that have all the circles in them. So it was hard for me to find something that was the right circle sizes. So if you have one of those like ruler things that have all the different circle sizes in them, they would be ideal for you to put your outline down. So I just took the easy way out and transferred it on and tried to be as accurate with the circles as it could be. Because I need to also be careful as I start adding color in that. I need to make sure my edges stay nice and sharp, because I'm very good at just going out of the lines. So I need to just make sure I stay in there. Using the 70% warm gray again, the PC 1056. I'm going to add this shadow underneath here. Yeah, the Prismcolor's got a gold as well, but I don't like that gold very much. Where is it? Here. So metallic gold. We can try it on this section. It No, it just looks like a brown. It just looks like a ugly brown. Okay, let's not get too distracted. I have gold acrylic paint markers, but we're not going to use them. They would work great and they would look amazing and they would be the gold that we want. But the idea is to use colored pencils in this, especially if you're going to enter it into the colored pencil magazine. I think their rule is 80% colored pencils. I'm just going to sharpen that. 80% colored pencils is the rules. And that does not include chalk or charcoal. So just make sure that if you want to use chalk or charcoal, just be clear about the rules. Oh, postman's here. Sorry about that, guys. The postman had just come and I just had to press stop streaming pretty quick. So I stopped the stream. That's why it was buffering, but I'm back. Shouldn't get any more disruptions. Okay. Excuse me. Oh, you guys didn't even know about the colored pencil magazine and the challenge? Far out. They are, in my opinion, so this is my opinion, my favorite magazine out there. They have so much useful information. But of course they'd be a favorite magazine of mine because they mainly deal with pencils, which is what I use. So they have so much useful information. I have bought so many products because of that magazine, and I have learned so many cool techniques and that. There's just, it's like a little tutorial book in itself. It's got so much information and it makes you aware of some amazing artists out there too. So definitely worth the sub. I think I've been subscribed to them for the past 2 years. I've also been lucky enough to have 3 of my articles published in the magazine. Okay, sorry, I switched to the 70% warm grey to put that shadow in there. I'm going to do the same down here. So this whole section there is quite dark. Thank you, Esme. Okay, I'm putting a timer on my watch right now for 11 minutes. So that I can check. Okay, just a smidge over here, and then using the 10% cool grey, again, PC1059, I'm going to just add a bit more grey against the white, so it's not such stark white. Oh, and if anyone's wondering, the music that I am playing is from Epidemic Sound. So I pay monthly subscription and they have so much music and I get to use it as I please because it's all royalty free. So that's only useful information if there's a lot of video creators out there that would like to just easily add music to your videos and not worry about whether you're allowed to play it or not. No, I do not know French. Who said that? I wish I knew French. I wish I knew Italian. I wish I knew Hebrew. I would love to know all languages. Spanish. Spanish would be a good one. Okay, so there's not really much of that white in there, so this grey works pretty good. And then just a little bit over there as well. Great, now I'm gonna blend this in and you'll see what it looks like. The texture will go away. So I'm just using a number 2 round Taklon brush, and I'm using my Zest-it pencil blend, which the bottle looks like this. And I just have a little bottle here that I dip into. But that is the solvent that I'm using to blend it smooth, and then I just dab any excess onto a piece of tissue paper. Ah, yes, George says the magazine has been offering half-price subscriptions and half off digital downloads for single issues. So have a look because they have a lot of deals. They have been having a lot of deals going on lately because of the Christmas season. So see what they have available now and if they still have it. Oh, I almost dipped that in my coffee. Let's put you way out of the way. Oh! Rob says he's excited for the traveling tin. Yes. The first tin will be going out in January. So I'm gonna, 5 tins will be going out total. Each tin is gonna have its own passport. And each tin is going to go to a different country. And yes, they'll go out in consecutive months. So one tin will go out January, second tin will go out February, and so on until all 5 tins are done. And then yes. So for anyone wondering what I'm talking about, we are starting a thing called the Fellowship of the Traveling Tin, where I am going to be sending out 5 tins. Each tin has a box of art supplies. Easy, simple, cheap art supplies, and the box is going to have its own passport. And then the tin is going to go to an artist. I'm not sure who the first artists are yet, but even if I did know, I wouldn't tell you that yet. But each tin would go to an artist. The artist then has to create an artwork using the supplies in the tin. Once they are done, they have 6 weeks. They can only have the tin for 6 weeks. Then they have to put a selfie with themselves and the artwork into the passport and fill in the journal. So there'd be a journal in there as well. And then it's up to them to send it on to the next artist. So they get to decide who the next artist is. So we will never know where these tins are going to end up at all. But the tins will also have its own YouTube channel and social media. And whoever gets the tin has to make sure that they post to the social media and the minute that they post it to the next artist, they have to supply everyone with a tracking number so that we can all follow these tins around the world. And then at the end of December 2018, no, in 2 years, so December 2019, everybody has to send the tins back to Australia. And then once I get all those tins back, then we can sort of do like, I don't know, I want to create almost like a little documentary video that followed all these tins around the world, and then open them up and have them all together and see what are in the passports and the journals. So it's going to be so much fun. But yes, so that's starting in January. Not too much has been said about it yet. I'm still like figuring out all the tweaks and stuff and making sure that the rules are very clear. But all of this will be announced and officially sort of published out there with all the links and social media and that in January. Eric is asking, do odorless mineral spirits work the same as the Zest-it? Yes, if you can't get your hands on the Zest-it pencil blend, you can use any odorless mineral spirit as an alternative. But if you can get Zest-it, I would recommend it because it's less toxic than the other mineral spirits that you get out there. And it's also a biodegradable, non-flammable substance, which I like as well. But not everybody, I know a lot of people struggle to get their hands on the Zest-it. It's from the UK actually. So those in the UK should be fine to get it, but those in the US seem to struggle to get it. So when you use a fine brush like this, it's also great to sort of keep edges nice and sharp and clean. Because we want to keep these as round as possible. Okay, I'm gonna leave those little background areas as is just for now, and let's start working on this gold ornament ball and see how we can get it to look gold enough. And it might actually be a good idea, maybe I will use my swatches because there's so many reflections, and then your brain sort of wants to tell you to make the whole ball gold because you know that it's gold, but there's so many other reflections, so you may have to just use your swatches to double check those reflections. What have I done with my other swatches? Probably in the drawer. Cool, I found them. Okay, so now all I'm doing is I have my iPad in front of me, so I'm taking my swatch and I am going to compare some of these colors here to see if I can find a gold that's going to work. Actually, looks like that one is going to work. No? So 1098, which almost looks a bit green. But anyways, let's see where that one is. 194. Camera check. Repeat. 1094. No, 1098. 1098. It is it's artichoke. It looks green. But anyways, it's fine. It's got green reflections next to it, so it's not going to be bad anyways. Chris Craft says to try the Albright Dura Gold Pencil. Okay, let me see. I do have it. Just to get it out of the drawer. I have all these other things in here. I have the Albright Dura pencils here. And you guys are recommending the gold. Okay, so there's a gold and a copper. Let's see how they work. The only thing is I'm using Zest-it, not water for blending. I may just have to seal it with a fixative first. My studio room is so tiny. If I could, I would love to just have bookshelves everywhere so that my art supplies I can just pull straight out of a bookshelf instead of trying to rummage through all the drawers. Okay. So I got those. And I have this one. So let's just use that for now. And the yellow ochre. It's quite a deep red as well. That's almost copper. Let's try the copper quickly. So that'll work well with the red. So I know that watercolor pencils work fine as an underlayer if you're using wax or oil-based pencils. So we will use it as an underlayer. And then just spray it a little bit with the Micador matte workable fixative, so that we can come back over it with oil and wax and the pencil blend. Okay, that's about the only places where I can see this color. Let's try some of the gold. Looks pretty blah right now. But we'll see what happens when we add the water. Okay, that's going to be green. It's going to have a little bit more gold there. It's green. That's red. Okay, so now I'm going to blend that in with water. I'm just going to take a bottle cap with water. Ooh. There we go. A different brush. Let's just wipe that one off. Okay, so I'm just going to use that brush. So I'm sort of just dabbing it down. Maybe it will help with the texture. Marjine saying, I'm wondering if using your etching tool to create tiny dots, that would stay white, shiny spots. It would if you're using white watercolor paper, but that won't work very well if you're using a sanded paper, especially not a colored sanded paper. Okay, so if you are going to use watercolor pencils and oil-based pencils and polychromos and oil pencils and wax pencils together, when you use the water-based pencils, you have to use them as an underlayer with water and then seal it with a fixative before you can work with oil and solvent over the top of it. Remember, oil and water don't mix, so you need to make sure there's a sort of barrier in between. So ideally you wouldn't want to use your watercolor pencils and your oil and wax-based pencils on top of watercolor. You would just not use the water-based stuff at all. So, but may as well experiment while we have the chance. So I don't feel like this gold or copper is gonna help me add much of a different, it's not adding so much metallicness to it, if that makes sense. So it's not worth me using the watercolor pencils any further. So I'm gonna seal that in, and then I'm just gonna stick to using the wax and oil based pencils. But at least I gave that a go. So I'm just going to take the Mikador, this workable fixative, and just spray that so that it is sealed for when we apply the wax and oil based over the top. So we'll just leave that to dry. Camera checks all good for the moment. Remember, if you have any questions, please put them in capital letters. Makes it easier for me to see. Okay. It's almost dry. So you can sort of see, if you hold your head at an angle, you can see. So it's just the masking tape that seems to be wet still. Hey, Nanette. Okay, cool. So that's dry. Now I am just sticking to my wax and oil-based pencil. So I'm going to try the Yellow Ochre PC 942 because I think that'll be a good one to use as a gold. Ooh, yes, look at that. Okay. Let's go green in there. Slightly gold. Okay, let's put those dark, rich reds in there. Taking the Caput Mortuum Violet, number 263, so there's Polychromos pencils. Let me sharpen that even more. Okay, so this is going to be great for those real rich dark red shadows. So that's green, this is red, this is red. Creating like little spots almost. Great. So there's some areas here that almost look a little bit silver. So we would add grey and a bit of gold. So let's use the 10% cold grey, PC 1059. Nanette's asking, Shells, how long do you plan to spend on this? Is it hard to slow down after the 25 days when you had to do one a day? I'm not sure how long I plan to spend on this. I try to do it really small so that I could cover it in one whole stream, and I don't want to go more than 3 hours if I can help it. And when you say, is it hard to slow down? No, I don't think it's hard to slow down, but I would love to just slow down. But because I already have a pretty hefty schedule for my students on Patreon for December, I had to jump straight into that already. So I'm still as busy, I'm just not that busy live all the time. But yeah, I will say that I look forward to the lives a lot more than what I did before November, because we all had a chance to make such nice connections with one another. And I really feel like I made some nice friends, and that you guys made friends with one another too. And we have our own little family group on here, which is expanding. So the live streams are great, and I won't stop them. And I know you guys enjoy them, so I'll definitely keep doing that. So I'll do a live stream like this for the Colored Pencil magazine every month, for everybody. And then I might do another live stream for you guys at the end of the month when I do a fantasy art piece for my students on Patreon. I'll probably just do a bit of a live stream on the process of coloring the fantasy art piece. But that'll be it. The rest will be for my students only. Okay, so I'm gonna use that yellow ochre again, PC 942, to add a bit of gold over those light areas that I placed there. That's gonna be green. So there's a lot of colors to pay attention to here. I almost feel like that's a little bit of like a creamy color. So we'll make that, oh, this color looks good for that. This is Sable, PC 940. Yeah, that looks like a good one. Add some of that in the other gold areas. So what's happening here? This needs to go in more. Okay, let's get some of these greens in. So we'll add the green ochre, PC 1091, which is more of a dull green, but then we'll add the brighter green over the top afterwards. Here. Hi, Dean. Don't worry about the texture just yet. That's something we can fix later on. The really bright white highlights, I plan on just using a uniPosco marker, a white acrylic marker, to just make them pop out. Now I'll add some of those brighter greens. So let's use the grass green, PC909. Camera check. Card full. I must not have taken... Sorry guys. Oh no, this is a smaller card. Okay, let me just get the other SD card. The struggles when you're using a DSLR for recording. Okay. Right. So grass green, PC909. Okay, now let's blend this in, and then this is going to help us just see details a little easier. So I dipped my brush in the Zest-it pencil blend. So I know I'm going to want to add a little bit more of a brighter red as a reflection on the top of that ornament. Luke is saying he's using the uniPosco marker light fast. No, I don't think it is, actually. So if you're worried about light fastness, it's not, I don't know, it's acrylic, it's white acrylic paint, and it's sitting on top of the surface of something that's got a few substances in. It's got the solvent in there, and it's got wax and oil. So I wouldn't say it's very archival, because it wouldn't be too hard if you maybe used a little X-Acto knife or something to remove it from the surface. So I don't know if that makes sense. So if you want things to be totally archival, like me, I'm not fussed about it because I'm not selling this. But if you want to sell it, then I probably wouldn't suggest that you use the uniPosco white paint marker. Rather use your pencils. But we'll see. Maybe I won't need to use the Posco. Maybe I will, because I'm using sanded paper. Adding white is a lot easier. So maybe the pencils that I'm using will be enough. Okay, so something looks skew here. So I just put a little more solvent on there, and I'm almost like using the brush to brush off that excess pencil line to make that edge not look quite as skew. It's a bit better. Far out. I think these gold ornaments are gonna take the longest, whereas the green and red ones shouldn't take that long. Okay, so here I want to be careful to not let that edge look too skew. So it's a bit of a challenge if you're doing something that's like very symmetrical, and you want to keep it looking that way. It's not that simple. You need to make sure you stay in the lines and that you're paying attention to the shape carefully, so it doesn't look distorted. So yes, that green is looking quite nice. It's going to look nice when I add the brighter red in as well. But when you blend like this, at least it's easier to see the details now, so you know what you need to adjust. So the dark shadows I can see need to be even darker. And then when those shadows are really dark, it's going to look quite nice in contrast to the bright highlights when we get to that part. So let's see, if I use a white Prismacolor pencil now, how the highlights will pop up on this paper. It needs one of George's pencils extenders. Amy's asking, Sheldene, is the Mi-Tientes Touch paper a roughish paper? I mean, as in texture. Yes, it feels like it's sanded. Dean's asking, will the paper she's using take water media? Just wondering. Yeah, we tried a bit of water a little earlier. It does take liquids, but it didn't feel like the water was really absorbing. It was just sort of laying on the surface. So I wouldn't suggest this for watercolor pencils. Yeah, it's not watercolor paper. Okay, so using the white Prismacolor pencil, let's see how the white shows up. Oh, okay, it looks like we will not have to use the uniPosco white paint marker, because that shows up really nicely. Okay. So before I get carried away with this, because this is probably one of the most fun parts for me, is adding highlights. But before I do, I need to first finishing all the other colors properly. So red, I'm going to use the dark red number 225 Polychromos pencil. Make this red darker, and for the highlighted red areas, I'm going to add a very bright red which pops. Which one? I think I like this one, scarlet red. Yes. Okay, so scarlet red for those bright red areas or reflections, which go a little bit into here. And here. So funny, you never know how tricky a drawing is going to be until you try it. 'Cause I thought I would be further than this by now. Okay, using the dark red 225, I'm just going back and adding those dark red tones. Thanks, Esme. Okay, so that's where the reds are getting to, and now I need to make it even darker. Let's use a actually, because we have green there, I'm actually going to use an indigo blue. So PC 901. So using blue with green and red is fine. Like, that's actually a very good contrast. And blue and yellow make green, so using it here in the yellow is also good. that's looking. That's already starting to sort of make a, I don't know, it looks better. Okay, so to add some of that gold, make those gold bits brighter, I'm going to go back in with the yellow ochre, PC942. So just add the brightness of the yellow back in. You'd have thought, like, look, this is a gold ornament, but there's very little gold in there. So it really is easy to, like, trick your brain. Like, your brain tricks you into thinking there's a lot more gold when there really isn't. Okay, green, we add more of that bright green. And then I think after we blend this in with the solvent again, then we are finally ready to add those beautiful white highlights to make it really stand out. So we're an hour in and we've only finished one ornament. But like I said, the other ones should not take that long. I'm going to use a smidge of the green ochre, PC1091, just to make that little section a little more obvious. Okay, let's blend that in. Brush. There it is. So if you have any excess like color on your brush, just wipe it off, dip it in again, and then wipe it, and then you can go in the lighter areas around it. I'm getting excited for the white highlights. And I must say, I'm quite proud at how I have kept the dimensions of the ornament looking round. Okay, this red reflection. So this video, I hope for those like that don't have too much experience, if you're watching, if you go back a bit, you'll see that it looked really bad before it started taking shape and looking a bit better. So that's normal. Your drawing's not going to look perfect straight up. It's going to take a little bit of time to render it. It's like sculpting. You got to get through all those underlayering, the processes of formation before you get to a point where it starts looking appealing. Also, like on these edges, like it's not a smooth edge, it's got like little spots almost. So you can use your brush to just make those edges look like that. So your brush can still be used as a tool for texturing. Okay, let's add the white. Oh, and the beauty about using Zest-it pencil blend like this, even though it may not be 100% dry, it's still fine. You can still continue layering over the top. Luke says, when someone tells me my piece looks ugly, I just tell them it's not finished yet. Oh, but no, there's no ugly art. But yes, it will look not so good first before it looks really good. Camera check. Thank you. Zoom, cancel, custom, start. So, ooh, these highlights are gonna look so cool. Hey, Breland! So, Nerdy is Bree. And nice to see you on here. You've been traveling around a lot, haven't you? Okay, so using the white, and now I'm going to create those textured highlighted spots. I'm using the Prismcolor white. Oh, this is so cool. Yes, the magic white pencil. I mean, I've gone a little bit overboard with those big spots there. They need to be smaller. We can fix that. Okay, I'm just gonna pop a little bit more of the gold on some of these white pieces because I just went a bit overboard there. better. Okay. So, with these red reflections, you can add a little bit of white on there. Because some of those red reflections are brighter. And then you could add your bright red over the top of that. So, your scarlet red. So that looks more like a reflection. Let's add a bit more here again. Okay, carrying on. Oh cool, David says, I think I might give the contest a go. Totally, what have you got to lose? May as well. Oh, that balanced it out so nicely. Look, that edge looks so much better now. Okay. I think we'll just leave that one like that for now. And let's move on to the surrounding areas because we are taking way too long. Okay. Let's do the green ball at the top here. So I'm just going to do this my like usual conventional way. So find a couple of values of green. And then layer them and make sure I sort of just go towards the highlighted areas. So I have a free tutorial video, which is one of my popular videos on my YouTube channel, how to layer with colored pencils, and that is perfect because I just take a bunch of round circles and make them look three-dimensional. And that layering process, I'm just going to do the same sort of thing over here. So let me sharpen these. Oh no, I forgot my pocket watch when I sprayed. That was such a long time ago. Oh, yeah. Okay, so those greens and like a brighter, just a little bit of this one. Okay, sorry about the noise. Okay, so I'm going to go from dark to light, so I'm going to use my Chrome Oxide Green 278. So this one's shadow, it's more like this. And you can outline something like this because it does have a sharp outline. You are doing a very symmetrical shape, so you can outline it. That makes sense. Usually if you like drawing a face or something, you don't want to outline it like that because you don't want the whole outline to have the same color, or you don't want the outline to be sharp. It needs to be like a gradual outline. So in that case, you wouldn't create such a sharp outline. What did I just do? You know what, since we know that the light colors go so well with this paper, maybe I'm gonna block it all in with the dark colors, and then let's see what happens when we add the light colors afterwards, if we just block in the underlayer like this. Now this is not something I would do on watercolor paper. I would just gradually layer. So you can see like a little powdery substance. That's because the paper is sanded. It's got a texture. So it does eat through your pencils pretty quick. Okay, add a bit of the Pine Green 267. I'm so glad all of these ornaments aren't like that gold one. Okay. Adding some grass green 909. Adding some permanent green 266. So anytime you see a pencil with a gold band, that just means I'm using the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencil. And the Prismcolor ones don't have a gold band at the back. So just if you're wondering which kind of pencil I'm using. Okay, and then to make those real dark areas, I'm going to use the indigo blue. But this one I'm not going to use everywhere. And then I'll blend it, and then we will see what else we need to do. Right, let's blend that with our solvent. I might use a bit of a bigger brush. Oopsie. Okay, I'll use the small brush to do those edges. Wow, that just blocks it in super clearly. Okay, I'm gonna use a small brush for the edges just to keep that sharp. Okay. Right. Now, some of these, there's a bit of this green in there, light phthalo green. Some of that green color here. Just creating almost like little scribbles. It's already giving you a slight illusion of the glittery texture on the ornaments. Okay, that light green there is different. It's a brighter one. Let's say grass green. Yes. Also creating little scribbles. Add a little bit of this green in the ornament next to it. Okay. Using the indigo blue again to darken this area up even more. This sounds like a Christmassy one. It is. Christmas carols. The type of songs that get stuck in your head forever. Have they started playing Christmas carols in the US already? I don't think they have here. Well, I haven't been out. I've been like stuck in here. In the house. At my own volition. I'm definitely a homebody. I like being at home. And I can be home all the time. And I don't think you can say I don't have a social life, not when I'm doing this. This is a social life, isn't it? Okay. Let's create little spots everywhere again with the light phthalo green. Polychromos. Okay, now I'm going to use this little brush and I'm just going to dab it with the solvent, and then we can make those highlights pop more with the white. So I'm just dabbing it because I don't want to move it around. Give that a second. You know, it actually makes sense that there be Christmas carols. We are in December. I still feel like we're in November. Luke says, yes, this is social. Wink. Robert has finished putting up Christmas lights on the house. Cool. Artista says they've been playing Christmas songs since October. Far out. Cool. Okay. Now, let's use our magic white pencil. It's our Prismcolor white, which I don't think will fit in my sharpener anymore because it's so small. It does, just. Okay, now let's add some spots to make this look. How much quicker was that? That was so much quicker. Ugh. You know what else would be really satisfying? Is when we get to pull the masking tape off to make these edges really smooth. You know, I feel sorry for the people that work at grocery stores and stuff, because they'd be listening to the same Christmas carols over and over and over again. So we really cannot complain. I like this version. They did well. Made it a lot more fun, quirky Christmas carol. don't even know if I'm gonna put a Christmas tree up. Is that bad? Or, you know, I will. I have a mini Christmas tree like this big that I'll put up. We also have a giant Christmas tree that sort of reaches the roof of the house, but it's just too hard with the dogs. It's just too hard. Yeah, probably do the same. Put the little tree up the day before Christmas and then take it down before New Year's. Put it away. Plus, I'm a little afraid if I wanted to bring out the big Christmas tree, because it's in a box in the shed that isn't like 100% sealed tightly. So I don't want to know what sort of bugs are in there. Spiders. Okay, so let's leave that like that just for the moment. Or let's add a little bit more of this green to make it pop a bit more, grass green. A little bit here. Great, and then add a bit more white over the top of that. Cool. Next one, let's do this green ornament here. We'll do it the same way. No, let's do the red one. Let's do the red one first. So I'm going to use dark red, number 225. I can imagine you guys with cats and your Christmas trees. Hey Nanette, what was your question? Just ask it again. I love the sort of vibe and atmosphere this kind of music creates. Just makes it like happy and chirpy. And make sure to close your eyes and just move your head. Clarice says one year we put our Christmas tree up and didn't remove it until March. No? Yeah, until March because we were too lazy. I'm 6 minutes into camera, so all good right now. Thanks, Esme. Blossom says, Sheldene, my whites have not come out as white as yours. If I spray fixative, will that help to make the white be whiter? I just can't get a white to look white. Are you using watercolor paper? Because if you are, it's not going to be as easy as it is right now, that what you're seeing on the sanded paper. And then if you are using a white on watercolor paper and you're layering like this, you need to use a wax-based white pencil, not an oil-based white pencil. So use Prismcolor or Luminance, or whichever wax-based pencil you're using, use the white, not Polychromos, because that'd be too translucent. The white definitely shows up much clearer when you're using colored paper and when you're using sanded paper. Ah, Nanette. Blossom says, yes, I'm using the Artistico watercolor paper. Thank you, so that answers that. Yep. So I love when I want those really bold white highlights and I'm using the watercolor paper, I quite often use my uniPosco white paint marker to just bring those highlights out. Another product you can use, which is archival, is the titanium white powder that you get from Brush and Pencil. So you just mix that with a tiny bit of water and then put it on a brush and then use that for your really bright white highlights. And that is archival. If you want to use an archival substance, use the Brush and Pencil white powder, titanium white. If you're not worried about it being archival because it's just going to be a little gift, it's not something that you're selling, then you can just use the uniPosco paint marker. So the paper I am using is the Mi-Tientes Touch Canson paper. The paper where if you use the watercolor paper, any watercolor paper, it's not going to be as easy for you to get your whites out. So to bring out the whites, I would suggest that you use the Brush and Pencil titanium white powder if you want it to be archival. Otherwise, use the uniPosco white paint marker. Look, the titanium white powder you mix with water, so you're almost turning it into like a white paint or paste. And yes, it works on any paper. Okay, so now using the Scarlet Red. Eric says, Sheldene, I think those ornaments are really going to win the prizes. I hope you'll be entering. No, I'm not entering. I'm not entering. I'm just doing the live stream and you guys need to enter. No, no, no. I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not entering the competition. Plus, winning a voucher from Jerry's Art Supplies is it's not going to work that great for me because I'm going to end up paying a fortune in shipping just to get those art supplies back. So, no. You guys go for it. You guys enter. I'm just doing this for fun as a live stream, and it's great for you guys because you guys can enter and maybe win the prizes. I know, this music is funny. I'm gonna keep it going. Okay, make those areas really dark. I'm thinking I'll just keep using the indigo blue. For the darker areas. Ah, dear. Who was censored and for what? I feel like I'm really missing something here. Esme says, I felt underdressed for that music with my hoodie and jeans. Where is my dress? Okay, so let's blend this in and see where we're at. Again, I'm just going to use the bigger brush. Not around the edges though. I know that that looks a bit purple, but that's fine. We can make it look more red. Plus, using a purple, like blue and red, even though it creates a purple, it still creates a nice dark shadow instead of putting black on there. Those very edges, I'll use a smaller brush. I know the sanded, the paper comes sanded, S. So it's not. It's the Mi-Tientes Touch cans and paper, which is a sanded paper. You don't physically sand the paper. Okay, Maureen, I understand. it. I read her question, and then afterwards I saw your question repeating Blossom's question. It's all good. At least we got to answer it. We played this one, didn't we? Let's go pick another one. Where's my little brush? So using the little brush. Okay, I think now we're going into repeating all these songs. Let's pick another album. Let's go back to that one. Cool. Yeah, if you're using a voucher, you can do the shopping and you can send it to whatever address you like. I really love those colors, even though they're all completely wrong at the moment. I like them a lot. Right, so I'm not adding any more blue. Our darkest values are in, and now we are just going to keep putting in those reds. So coming back in with my Scarlet Red, number 118. Let's add a layer of this. Beautiful. Let's blend that in again. Okay, one thing I also want to say, just to make it clear real quick, is that I'm putting my dark colors down and then putting my light colors over the top. My dark colors, I'm going darker than what I want, because I know that I can make it lighter because it's a sanded paper. This is not the approach that I would use in watercolor paper. I would gradually go darker. I would gradually go darker with layer by layer until I've reached the right darkness. I won't go too dark and then light. Not on watercolor paper. So like I said in the beginning of the video, just pay attention to what paper you're using, because there are different approaches that you take with pencils when you are using different types of paper. So if you are trying this in the same method as I am and you're following along, or you're using the same method I'm using, then I would recommend that you use a standard paper for this way of applying your layers. It doesn't have to be the Canson Mi-Tientes Touch paper. It can be a different standard paper. Oh, and not the Sennelier paper, because that paper doesn't do well with any liquids. So I'd say this will be fine on like the Fisher 400 paper or the UArt standard paper, or this paper, but not the Sennelier paper or the watercolor paper. Does that make sense? Hi, Glenn. Sarah's asking, I've not used Zest-it before. How does it work? Zest-it is a liquid solvent. So the solvents that I'm using, so they are the kind of liquids that you use to clean your oil paint brushes, or so any wax or oil substances, you would use the solvent to clean those brushes. So it's the same sort of concept. Because we're using oil and wax based pencils, you can use the solvent to almost dilute it in a sense, to make it spread, to make it a little bit more, to make it smoother. So that's why we use it. So Sarah mainly paints. So Sarah did a portrait of me. I think I showed you guys in another video. So she mainly paints, but so that's why I understand why she's asking the question. But it's the same sort of concept. So it helps remove the texture of the paper, which is the biggest thing, but it also helps bring the pigment of the color out a lot clearer. Okay. Now, oops, I don't know why I just painted that area. Now let's use a very light, bright red to make that really stand out. Something like, yes, this one, this one. Let's try the poppy red Prismacolor pencil. So just to add to the center of those areas, because that's mainly where the highlights are on this ornament. Lightly over here. Lightly over here. And then if you want to make it even more highlighted, you can just put a little bit of white in the middle before you blend it with your solvent. And then blend that in. Yes, UArt 800 sanded paper I think would be fine. I haven't tried that paper for myself. I have tried the Fisher 400 paper, so I know that will work. The UArt sanded paper, I'd imagine it's quite similar to the Fisher 400 paper, so it should work the same. Now I sort of just want to dab this around the edges just to soften them a smidge. So they don't look like sharp outlines, but they still look like highlights. Okay, I feel like that looks nice, but I still want to go a little darker in the dark areas. So I'm wondering if I should use the indigo blue again, or if that's going to make it too purple. No, let's just use it again. So using the indigo blue, these really dark areas here. Just gonna add that extra bit to it. Okay, I hardly have anything left on this brush, so try and dry it off as much as you can so that there's only a very tiny little bit left, and then dab the blue areas you just applied. What a difference. See, that helped. That helped a bit. I want it to be brighter than that. I may have just gone a little bit too dark with the underlayering. Now I feel like I'm making it darker again. Okay, let's add in that poppy red again. I've just spat all over that. Margine says the UArt 800 is finer than the 400. If they're both sanded and they both have a texture, it should be fine. If one is just very textured, then yeah, it should still be fine. Because when you apply that liquid, it's going to go into those textures. Thanks, Esme. What's the time? 10:12. So this is only supposed to be a 3-hour stream maximum. So I may have to stop. Okay, I think I'm liking that. That is looking like it's got a red light reflected on it. So just whatever excess I have left on here. I'm not applying more solvent, I'm just maybe just blend the edges so that it doesn't lose that center brightness. There we go. Cool, that looks like it's reflecting, sort of. Not perfect, but it will do. Get a bit more in there. Now we went from really happy chirpy music to semi, not so much. Okay, cool, let's do this big green one. I'm just gonna fill in the whole thing with the Pine Green 267. Let's see if I can move faster. I feel confident that the green glitter balls are pretty easy. I'm just going to have the same approach as what I had there. And I'll do that one, and I'll do all the green balls now at the same time. Speed it up. Just for the sake of the stream, I wouldn't usually go faster. Because colored pencil, if you want to really get detailed, it does take time. You can't rush it. But let's see. May as well fill this one in. Hello, Brady. What you up to? I really wish, you know, I do want to see if there's some way maybe I could get a whole sample of all these various papers. So get a whole bunch of samples of the various sanded papers and just the different kinds of papers and the colored papers and that out there, because then I can compare them and see which methods work the best with them with colored pencils. But I'm gonna have to do some research. to see if they'll send me any samples. Okay, so that was the pine green. Now I'm going to add in the chrome oxide green. I'm also just going to add it everywhere. And then the grass green, PC 909, again everywhere. Okay, and then for those dark areas, I'm going to use the indigo blue, which worked great with that one there. Just going to sharpen it. Yeah, the paper is very confusing. If I can get samples, then it may be worthwhile I do a comparison video with all the papers, and then at least with videos like this, I can put a card up on the screen comparing all the papers and the methods that you can use with those papers. And then that would be really handy, because I think a lot of people would refer to a video like that. It'll also be handy for me, because then I can just refer you guys to that video too. Okay, so using the indigo. At least, what I'm glad, even though I'm going to finish at 1 o'clock, so in 40 minutes, you got to see how I do each type of ornament in this image. So you would just take the same approach with the other ones if I don't get this done. The same approach and the same sort of colors. Like I have all my colors right here next to me. I don't put them back in the tray. But yeah, these two gold ornaments will take the longest, and take your time with them, because if you want them to look really nice, you're gonna have to take the time. Oh, cool. Chris Craft says that they're not samples, but Jackson Art sells a pack of 7 quartz sheets to try of different shaded papers. Oh, why does it have to be Jackson's Art? It's so hard. Shipping is so expensive if I buy from art suppliers like that. I have to see if a local art supplier will do something like that for me. Roseanne's asking, am I streaming on December the 13th? I don't know. Let me check. If I'm streaming then it wouldn't be a public live stream. It would be for patrons. So let me just check my calendar. And I'll be able to tell you. on the 13th, yes, I am streaming for my students on Patreon. The US time, so it'll be the same time as what I started today. And we're going to be drawing an elderly woman's eye. So there's going to be a lot of wrinkly skin and that around the eye. And yeah, so that's what we're going to be drawing live on the 13th. So when it says 13th though, that's my 13th. So if the calendar says the 13th, that's Australian Eastern Standard Time, which means it'll be your 12th. Yes, Luke just said that as well. Yeah, it'll be your 12th. Camera check. Okay, let's blend that in. Actually, I'm gonna do the edges with a small brush first, and then I'll do the center with a big brush. So I want those edges to be really sharp and very symmetrical. So use a nice, oh my gosh honey, use a nice brush to help you do that. Oh, I can't turn my page, so doing this side's gonna be tricky. This one is in front of that one. Hey Noe's mom. The blue, Noe's mom's asking if there's a reason I use the indigo blue. Indigo's blue, it's a good alternative to use compared to black. And I'm using the indigo blue because we are using, look, we're using reds, which are warm tones, and we're using green, which are cool tones. So, indigo blue helps the warm tones by adding a little bit of a cooler tone to it, because it's right next to something that has a cool tone as well, if that makes sense, because these things are reflecting off each other. So if you make this red too red and you don't add the indigo blue, it's not going to have as nice a contrast next to something that's got so many cool colors. I have no idea if what I'm saying is making sense, but that's sort of my perspective, I guess. I don't know. If you imagine green reflecting onto red, if you add a bit of blue and the red has a bit of purple in it, purple is a nice color in contrast with the green. So it sort of just works. So it does, choices like that do depend on what else is around. Okay, I said I was going to use a bigger brush, so let me do the edges of these ones to make them smooth. Thank you, Roseanne. Cool. Esme says it makes sense. As long as it makes sense to someone. Yep, Gauzy's asking, wondering if there are any alternatives to Zest-it color pencil blender. Yep, any odorless mineral spirits will do the trick. Odorless mineral spirits. So other brands out there, you've got Lisa, she uses the Mona Lisa odorless mineral spirits. You can, Gamsol is one that you can use. Art Spectrum odorless mineral solvent is one. So there's quite a few out there. Okay, now I can use the bigger brush to blend the bulk of the rest of them. Oh, and this brush is a makeup brush, so I have quite a few different size makeup brushes. You can get the You Spicy makeup brush set. It's like 15 or 30 different kinds of brushes in there for $15 on Amazon. It's really, really cheap. Or I got mine for $15. I'm not sure if they're still that cheap, but I'd imagine they would be. And the hair doesn't come out or anything, so they work great. And they're definitely much cheaper than you buying fancy paint brushes. So that's all you need for pencil work. You don't need to have any fancy brushes. You can just use whatever you have. I really like the red ornament. I think I like that one the most. No problem. Exactly. Eric says it costs him $20 for a Da Vinci 10 brush for oil paints. Just for one brush. Nanette. Cool. That is a perfect underlayer of green. Valerie! How was your live? Valerie had a live and it had finished when I woke up already this morning, so I missed it. How did it go? So Valerie does pyrography. Is that how you say it? So she uses burning tools to burn her drawings onto wood. Okay. Cool. Now those two greens that we used before, we used the light sailor green. Let's use that one first. And I'm just going to create little scribbles. I'm not worried about spots yet. We'll do that after we blend this in. Little scribbles everywhere. Well, everywhere where it's the most highlighted part on the ornaments. Chris says it really looks metallic. Really? That's good. That's good. Oh, cool. Valerie says it went good. Burning an ornament on task board today. Cool. Comrade Chuck. Repeat. Okay. Having my Apple Watch and the custom little timer is so perfect for this. It's just remembering to put the timer on before I start a stream. Okay, same thing here. I'm doing all the green ornaments at the same time just to see if we can go faster. Don't rush like I am. You'll get a better result if you take your time. Okay, using the grass green. What? Valerie says with the task board you can wet and form it into 3D designs. Oh, that sounds so cool. I'm gonna have to have a look. Task board. What? That sounds so weird. Cool, weird. I'm thinking I'm gonna actually add some blue as well later on, just like a sky blue sort of color for those real bright highlights on the green glitter balls. Okay, this green is all over here. Okay, using my, actually I'm just gonna scribble a little bit more here with the light phthalo blue, and then the indigo blue I'm gonna darken up some more over here. What's the weather like today? I thought I heard thunder just then. Late showers. Oh, must have been something else. Maybe a truck or something. Ooh. I look forward to seeing that, Valerie. Okay. So the indigo blue, it makes a big difference. It makes your highlights pop even more. If you can get your dark values in, and then in contrast with the highlighted areas, it makes the highlight areas seem even more highlighted. Okay, I'm gonna use my bigger brush to just dab it in. So I dipped it in solvent, I dabbed off any excess, and now I'm blending it, but I'm just pushing it in instead of moving it around. I love this paper. I'm going to be using it a lot more in the future. A lot more. My dogs literally moan and groan like human beings. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So we're starting to form a little bit of texture there. You know what? I'm so tempted. I'm gonna do it now. Because we finished that side, I'm just gonna remove that to get a little bit of a darker, a better edge, which isn't all that clean anyways. Okay. Now we shall use, I want to use a blue. Ooh, this color is a good one. Which is this one. So this is light green, PC 920. So you see that there's some of these highlights. I'm just going to create spots that are, they're almost a little more blue-green. Okay, I am going to add a light layer of that. And then we'll add those spots later, just to make it a little bit easier on us. And this green here as well. Okay. Now, just whatever excess I have left on my brush, I'm going to blend that in. I didn't re-dip it into anything. And that's just going to help us with those highlights a little bit more. And still using that color, let's add some more. We'll add the dots. It's going to take a while. Clarice says slow down. No, only have 15 minutes left. Gotta get these ones done. But yeah, like I said, at least I'm satisfied. We got to do the gold ornament, the green and the red, so I'll be using the same approach for the rest of them. So even though you guys won't get to see me finish the whole thing in real time, you should know what to do. If you want to try it in the same way I'm trying it. But yes, I'd love to know if you guys are going to enter, and I'd love to see what you guys do if you decide to do this. It'd be great. Battery died. Chris is asking, how long would this take to do, and how do you make it perfect? I don't know. So far we're reaching the 3-hour point. So I don't know, maybe another 2 hours, maybe a bit less, maybe an hour and a half. If I'm doing it without following a chat and I'm just doing it and keeping my head down, it should go quicker. So probably an hour and a half more. And when you say, how do you make it perfect? It's not perfect. It's just try and follow a process. So layering, highlighting properly, and it just makes it. If you just layer and highlight properly, it makes a big difference in terms of how realistic it looks. Oh, Clarice is also entering the November challenge. There's only 4 days left. Cool. I just restarted that, so repeat. Nice try, Chris. No, I'm not streaming tomorrow. So tomorrow I am recording and editing the tips and tricks videos for patrons. So that video is going to be the many uses of pan pastels and how to use them. So that's what that video is going to be about. And then I should be able to publish part 1 of the crow ebook, because I finished part 1 of the crow tutorial this week where we did the background. And I have a step-by-step PDF on that as well, which I should be able to publish tomorrow for students on Patreon too. So busy. Enjoy. Oh, cool! Luke says, perfect, I just got the pan pastel portrait starter kits. Yes. Cool. So I will show you guys how to mix pan pastels. I'll show you guys how to layer pan pastels. How you can use Zest-it solvent, and your pencils on pan pastels. Those are all the sort of things I'll show in that video. Oh my gosh, so many spots. For those people who are going to attempt this in A4 size or bigger, I commend you. It's going to take a long time. Start off small, especially because the prizes are, I think the advanced prize is 200, and then the beginners, is it beginners prize is 150, and then what's the third one for younger people, I think, is $50. So you don't want to spend a whole week on it. So just do it small, because the size doesn't matter if you're going to enter it into the Color Pencil magazine. You could do it this small. Clarice, you're crazy. You're crazy. And if you're not using sanded paper, they're just going to take you even longer. So areas that are more highlighted, you can just add even more spots closer together like this. Okay, let's add some other colors. So adding the grass green. Please. Oh yeah, if you use watercolor paper with watercolor pencils underneath, that would probably save you a fair bit of time. Because watercolor pencils, you can at least block in bigger areas pretty quick. So yep, I'm using the grass green, just adding that different green. To some other areas here. like that. That looks semi-glittery. So I will add a little bit of white as well. The white just adds a little bit extra. Makes it, yeah. So, this adds a bit of texture on the edge here. So it doesn't just look like a solid line on the edge there. Let's use the green. Okay, now just to finish off, because I only have 5 minutes left, I can see that I need to darken up the background area, so I'm going to use this 70% warm grey under here. Enhance those shadows. That's also a gold one up there. So I still have a bit to do, but at least what I've done should give you guys a clear indication of the approach that I took, I guess, and then you should be able to do the others in the same way. I'm even going to use a little bit of the indigo blue in here as well. Okay, using my little brush, dipping it in my pencil blend. Let's blend that in nice and smooth. Put a bit too much on there. not sure what's happening there. Why is it doing that? It's weird. It's like it doesn't want to stick to that area. So strange. That is so strange. Okay, I'm gonna use my 10% cool grey. Let's go over the surface here. See what happens now. Maybe I didn't have enough on the surface of that area yet. I guess because I'm blending it, but there's nothing really there except for a light layer of the white Polychromos pencil. Okay, cool. At least that was okay. So that shadow helped a bit. Okay. Why aren't you working? Adding the 10% cool grey over here before I blend any further. have already been streaming for 3 hours, so it's time for me to end the stream. I'm really sorry. But I really like the way it's starting to turn out. It is building up. It's starting to look three-dimensional and stuff. And I think it's going to really stand out. When I get these other 2 red ornaments in, it's going to... And I don't know, if I just finish it all, it's going to look pretty cool. But yeah, so that's my approach to doing this on the Mi-Tientes Touch sanded paper. And the color that I use, it's a sky gray, I think is the color of the paper. And yeah, and I use the Prismcolor pencils, the Prismcolor Premier pencils, and the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. And to blend, I used the Zest-it pencil blend. And I didn't use any of the acrylic paint markers, so that worked out good. The white highlights pop out really, really nicely on this type of paper. So it worked out quite nice. So for those that want to enter this challenge, so I have put a link. So this challenge is for the Colored Pencil Magazine December challenge. I'll put the link in the top there. You can sort of see it, but check it out. The link is in the description, and that'll take you to where you can download the royalty-free photograph and the rules to entering your image in with Colored Pencil Magazine. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I will post the time-lapse video of this up when I am done, and I'll put it up as a card on this live stream video as well. And then yeah, if you guys try this for yourself, especially if you try it using the same materials I've used, please let me know how you go. I'm very interested in knowing. So feel free to tag me on Instagram if you want me to see it. Size? The size, it's small. It is a little bit over 5 inches by 3.5 inches, and in centimeters it is about 13 centimeters by 9 centimeters. So it's pretty tiny, and yes, that's how long it took. So it's taken us 3 hours to get this far for something that's the size of a card. It's not a fast medium to use, but it's very tranquil and very relaxing using colored pencils. So I'd encourage anybody who just wants to have some time out with themselves to be creative in this way. Or be creative in any way, just being painting, drawing, whatever it is, it's good for your soul. Alright, good night to those in the UK and in the US. And for those in Australian time, I hope you have a good morning or good afternoon. So I will see you guys next time.